The Unseen Battle: Confronting Body Image in the Shadow of Trauma, written by Maria Fernandez, licensed mental health counselor. The words that came out of my mother's mouth as she struggled with her body image after a radical mastectomy due to breast cancer are words that made me sad for her. I asked her many years after her mastectomy how she managed the changes in her appearance, and she said she hid in the closet when she undressed, would not allow anyone to see her, and became very depressed. She felt disfigured and stated that the relationship between her and my father became more complicated because she was no longer attractive. Mom wore a prosthetic for her left breast. She never had reconstructive surgery because it was not offered to her. And in her later years, when it was feasible, she heard horror stories of the outcome and was frightened of having to deal with more disfigurement. My mother had her left breast completely removed along with the lymph nodes in her late 30s. It was the early 1970s, and there was great uncertainty as to how long she would live. Before she went into surgery, they did not tell her they would remove her breast. When she woke up, it was gone, and she went into shock. It was how it was done back then. When I was in my teens, I recall hearing her saying in her frustration with her appearance that it would be better to have died from breast cancer than to live disfigured. I witnessed my mother's shame towards her body as she would not wear bathing suits or any snug clothes. She hid her shame with long skirts and oversized tops, and rest assured, she always wore undergarments. We also belonged to a religion that instilled another layer of shame when it came to a woman's body, causing further injury to her body image. Many years later, my mother also discussed her painful childhood, which included physical beatings, sexual abuse, and extreme poverty. It is no mystery as to why I also struggled with my body image. I internalized many of my mother's sorrows and shame towards her own body onto mine. Being a little girl in a Hispanic family where everyone was short and had small body frames, I was taller and bigger than all the girls around me who were my same age. This had a negative impact on my body image as I would try to hide myself in the back of the room and be as inconspicuous as possible. Let me also add to the dilemma that I have big feet and a curvy shape. I would listen to my mother's conversation with my aunts about how rapidly I was outgrowing my clothes and how she had to purchase my dresses from the chubby little girl section of Sears. By the age of 13, I wore a size 10 shoe in women's. The horror of it all. I had the ugliest shoes one could imagine because the selection was minimal. I recall an incident when I was 14 years old and lived in Puerto Rico with my aunt. She took me shoe shopping, and when she told the salesman what my shoe size was, he gasped and stated he had no shoes for me. But it did not end there. He called out to the other salespeople to come and check out my ginormous feet. I was so embarrassed that I would not go into a shoe store for years. Thankfully, my aunt would order my shoes, which were made in Spain, in my size. As a side note, I'm very grateful to her. In addition to my height and big feet, I also had a sexual abuse trauma background that negatively impacted my body image. In my mid 30s, I began to process and regain a sense of self love and appreciation for how my body survived, endured, and overcame trauma. Today, as a mental health counselor, I have a greater understanding of how our sense of body image impacts ourselves, those around us, and our ability to be resilient in difficult circumstances. I have also come to understand the lens through which my mother saw her body and how her trauma, along with other struggles, magnified her negative self image. I want to add that in her senior years, she was able to overcome her past, and I had a completely different mom. Our body image is our internal perspective or belief about how we see our bodies. As I was researching for this article, I found a definition of body image along with a description of the four aspects of body image that I want to share with you from the National Eating Disorder Collaboration, NEDC. They define body image as a combination of the thoughts and feelings that you have about your body. Body image may range between positive and negative experiences. Body image is influenced by internal, for example, personality, and external, for example, environment factors. In other words, your personality and or disposition toward yourself along with social environments such as your family dynamics, life experiences, and connections with other in life contribute to how you develop your sense of positive and or negative self-esteem. I encourage you to take a moment and download the psychoeducational fact sheet which outlines various aspects of body image. My personal journey and healing included counseling, faith, prayer, and the awesome support of loving women who modeled a healthy body image, along with an amazing husband who loves me. As a mental health therapist, it is my heart's desire that you give yourself the space, time, and resources to heal and learn to love yourself. Even if you feel that there are parts of your physical appearance that you may want to change, whether it's losing weight or changing the color of your hair, to name a few, it is difficult to make changes from a place of self hatred. So, I'm going to challenge you to do a little test just to self evaluate what is your internal dialogue about yourself. Pick a day to be mindful of what your internal dialogue is about your body by writing it down in the notes section of your phone. Start in the morning when you wake up. What are your internal and external comments about yourself? Watch yourself as you're getting dressed. What are you telling yourself? What do you say every time you see your reflection? And at the end of the day, what are you saying about yourself as you undress and get ready for bed? I did this for a day, and the first time I did it, I realized how many negative thoughts I processed about myself. Honestly, I could barely finish the exercise because I knew I had some serious thinking. Dearest reader, I encourage you to be proactive in your healing. Seek a therapist you can connect with and spend some of your time and resources on learning how to care for you. You are definitely worth it.